Noswaith da, cynghorydd Mike Priestley ydw i, a fi ydy cadeirydd a Pwyllgor Trosolwg a Chraffu Economi a Lle. Good evening, my name is Councillor Mike Priestley and I'm the Chair of Economy and Place Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Can I welcome everyone to this evening's multi-location meeting? The meeting will be live streamed and recorded and will be available for viewing after the meeting. Should the live streaming fail, the meeting will continue and a recording will be available through the Council's website following the conclusion of this meeting. Can I remind members that translation facilities are available and for those attending on Zoom to choose your language of choice. For those wishing to speak in the chamber, please raise your hand. For those on Zoom, please use the raise hand function. We will alternate between speakers in the chamber and on Zoom. For those attending remotely, please note that those in the chamber will be unable to use the chat facility. Committee members who are attending remotely are required to leave their camera on throughout the debate and when voting in order to maintain the integrity of the decision-making process. If you do need to leave the meeting temporarily, please pop a message in the chat function so Democratic Services Officer is aware and then let them know when you return. I expect everyone present and participating in this meeting to conduct themselves appropriately and to be respectful to each other. That applies to members, officers, and anyone in the public gallery. So if I now go on to the agenda, can I take apologies for absence?
Yes, Chair. Apologies from Councillors Keith Eales, Gail Jones, Carol Beard, Alan Hunter, Charlie McCubry and Jeff Stewart.
Thank you very much. Item 2, declarations of interest, Code of Local Government Conduct. And can I remind members that they must declare the nature of the declared personal interest? I have no declarations of interest. So going on to item 3, urgent matters.
There are no urgent matters, Chair.
Thank you. So item 4, minutes to approve and sign as a correct record the minutes of the previous meeting, and you can find them on pages 4 to 13. I'm not going to go through them page by page. We've all got them in the agenda. So if there are any matters arising from the minutes, please let me know. If not, can I ask for a proposer and a seconder for the minutes as a true and accurate record? Cynghoryd Nia proposing, and Councillor Sam online as well, seconding. Thank you. Can I have a show in favour, please? Yeah, that's carried. So we'll go on to that. So thank you very much for that. So item 5 is to receive the minutes from the local area forum. And that's basically for information. The local area forum south, you can find in the agenda pack on pages 14 to 17. And I'm not sure if we got Councillor Nia as the Vice Chair. So Councillor Elizabeth Roberts is the Chair. Councillor Nia Owen, Vice Chair. Will you present the minutes, Councillor Cynghoryd Nia?
Yeah, dim problem o gwbl. Hoffwn ni gyflwyno cyfnodion cyfarfod ardal y de yn gywir. Diolch yn fawr iawn, gafon ni gyfarfod adeiladol iawn a dwi'n hapus i gyflwyno yr cofnodion i chi.
Diolch yn fawr. Seconder. Seconder for them minutes, please. Councillor Sam, thank you. Councillor Sam online. All in favour? Yep. No one against? Okay. 2 on item 5 is the local area forum north. You can find them on pages 18 to 20. I've got Councillor Harry Saville as the chair, Councillor Carol Beard as vice chair. I'm looking to Councillor Harry Saville, who will present those minutes. Councillor Harry, you're on mute.
Am I? Thank you for spotting that. Yeah, as I was just saying, so the minutes from local area forum north meeting held on Thursday, 12th of October are included for members to review. If they have any queries, now's the time to ask. Otherwise, I will leave it to a member for committee to consider proposing that you note the minutes. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Harry. Do I have a proposer for that, please? Yeah, Councillor Tom in the chamber. Seconder. Councillor Sam. Thank you, Sam. All those in favour? Yeah, lovely. Diolch yn fawr. That's panel. And that's here for information. You can find that on pages 21 to 26. For information, I've got Councillor Alan Hunt and Councillor Louise Emery, who are our representatives on that panel. And I think I can see Louise online. Councillor Louise?
Yes, and I'm coming to Cabinet next week. I won't forget this time, to come and to discuss the role on the panel for as county councillors. And excuse me, as you know, I've had a bit of a bad cold. So the meeting, we sort of interrogate the Police and Crime Commissioner very gently, and you'll see there's also an update on the budget, similar to what we do at county, where we look at in-year spend, and there was also a roads policing update where they're doing exactly the same thing. They've just changed the name of the roads policing unit. For I couldn't really work out why, but there we go. So the minutes are in front of you. If you've got any questions relating to the finance, I am the member champion for finance. That's my specialist subject. As I say, and I'll be at Cabinet next week to talk about our role. Thank you.
Councillor Sam?
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to propose that we note those minutes, but before you go much further, item number 4, I've got 2 sets of minutes in my pack. Can I just clarify that we've adopted the minutes of the 25th of October meeting? Because I think we've probably done the 17th of October previously.
I'll just check on that, Councillor Sam. Thank you for pointing that out. Dawn will just check on that. In the meantime, I've had the minutes of the North Wales Police and Crime panel proposed for information. Seconder to that, while we're just checking on those minutes. Tom, thank you, Tom. All those in favour? That's passed. Thank you very much. For the minutes for, it was item 4, yeah. That was for October the, sorry. Yeah. Okay.
And the 17th. And the 17th, yes.
And it was for the both. Yeah, it was for the both, Sam. Councillor Sam. So if I hand over now to Dawn, just to review the work programmes. So that's the Economy and Place Overview Scrutiny Committee Forward Work Programme. You can find them in the pack on pages 27 to 38. Can I hand over?
Thanks, Chair. So evening members. So for the purpose of the live stream, my name's Dawn Hughes and I'm the Scrutiny and Committee Services Officer for Conway. Just a few amendments to the forward plan since it was last published. The report on the ash dieback action plan, which was due to come to this committee today, has been deferred until the business case for the project has been through the budget planning process, so that will be coming the new year. I think it was Councillor Simon who raised the issue of dog control orders for Colwyn Bay Beach at the last meeting. So once the dates of the consultation have been finalised, we will then schedule it on the forward plan accordingly. So, and I'll let you know that. And it's likely that an update on the work of the Colwyn Bay Regeneration Programme Board will be included in the members' brief in December. So that's my update, Chair. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. No questions on that? Councillor, sorry.
Yeah, I have a question. You indicate that the Colwyn Bay Regeneration Board, there'll be a brief in the members at the not the last meeting, the last 2 meetings ago. We agreed the 10-year regeneration plan for Llandudno, and I asked the officers at that stage, would that have any negative impact on Colwyn Bay? And I was told quite clearly no. However, we've now seen at scrutiny on Monday that as a consequence of there being a lack of resources to bring forward projects, the £500,000 that was allocated to Colwyn Bay has been removed. So rather than a report, I would like this committee to request officers to come and explain to us why they have not brought forward the project to spend that £500,000 within what is the most deprived community within our county.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Chris. I've on Monday, was it proposed chairs and vice chairs, or would we propose that this goes to chairs and vice chairs this item?
Yeah, so if Councillor Chris wants to make a proposal that he wants the report to come here, then this obviously will go to chairs and vice chairs and you will schedule it accordingly. I don't think it will come in December, Councillor Chris, because the agenda's already full.
That's fine.
We'd have to look at prioritising items, but obviously that'll be a matter for the chair and vice chair.
Yeah, Councillor Chris, if you could just give us a quick email and then I'll action that. But obviously I'm mindful of what the recommendations went through, which is going through to cabinet. But by all means, if you just send us a quick email and then
I'd rather it was a resolution of this committee, Chair.
Yeah, okay, we can take that. So can you just so we can capture that?
Yeah,
can you?
I would like rather than a report in the members' brief, I would like officers to come and present their report, and so that we can scrutinise them.
So that's a recommendation to this committee from Councillor Chris Hughes.
Yeah.
Do I have a seconder for that? Online, I've got. Again, online, I've got. Thank you, Councillor Sam. All in favour of that? Okay, we take that, Chris. We'll put that in the minutes, and that'll be actioned.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got next to speak Councillor Harry.
Yes, thank you, Chairman, and look, thank you for letting me speak. I'm conscious I'm not a member of this committee. There was one small item of business I wanted to follow up. I thought this would be the best place on the agenda. You'll recall at your meeting in September, you received a petition regarding wind-blown sand and clearance of it around the West Shore area in Llandudno. I seem to recall that the ERF cabinet members said that they would take away the feedback from the petition, discuss with officers, and try and work out the best way forward and keep the committee and local members updated on the progress of those discussions. As a local member, I haven't heard anything yet, so I just wondered whether or not we could have some sort of update. Have I missed something, or is that in the pipeline? Are we going to hear something? I'd just be grateful for some advice.
I'll take that back, Harry, and let you know.
Yeah, many thanks. I thought it was important to raise. I think Chris touched on some of the things that came out on Monday, and I was conscious that we were told that it's naive to expect the cabinet to stick to their word. So I wanted to put it on public record that we're asking for that update.
Right. Yeah,
thanks, Dawn. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you for that. So, item 8, questions to. Oh yeah, sorry. So the forward work programme, could I have a proposer for that forward work programme, please? I've got Councillor Simon and seconded Councillor Chris Hughes. All in favour? That's passed. Thank you very much, everyone. So item number 8 is questions to cabinet members.
There are no questions, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Item number 9 then is the first on this is the biannual overview of county-wide coastal and fluvial flood risk reduction schemes, and this the November 2023 update. You can find this in the pack on pages 67 to 114. And could I please invite the cabinet member to introduce this report, and that's Councillor Gronwy Edwards.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, you find it on page 67, as you said. At the Economy and Place Overview and Scrutiny Committee meeting on the 8th of March 2021, it resolved that the Head of Environment, Roads and Facilities be requested to provide a biannual overview to the Economy and Place Overview and Scrutiny Committee on county-wide coastal mitigation schemes and capital works being implemented. This report will provide an overview of the funding of the projects, as well as an update on the flood risk mitigation measures being currently undertaken within the county. Additional to this report will highlight current consultation and strategic work being carried out by officers on behalf of the council, including its N31 project funding under Section 16 of the Flood and Water Management Act 2010. Welsh ministers may provide grants on expenditure in connection with flood or coastal erosion risk management. The Welsh Government, through its flood and coastal erosion risk management division, currently contribute 100% funding to the cost of any projects up to and including the detailed design stage. At the construction stage, the Welsh Government contributes at least 85% of the capital cost of a qualifying project, and will the remaining 15% contribution made up by the Conway Council. The 15% is typically delivered through the business case approval programme, whereby officers from the Flood Risk and Infrastructure Department submit capital business cases to approve for democracy, typically once a year in October. And as you know, these business cases have been submitted in the capital business case round. Welsh Government funding through the FCERM prioritised flood risk reduction to property and business. Schemes seeking funding for flood risk reduction to infrastructure assets may seek funding through the transportation section of the Welsh Government. It should be noted that due to the current challenging economic environment, funding for FCERM projects cannot be guaranteed by the Welsh Government. There are some projects within which benefit from funding by Dŵr Cymru as Wales Water, where a project can remove surface water flows from entering the foul water system. Typically, I think of this, it was the recent flooding as a result of Storm Babette in Llandudno. As you know, there is a problem with that particular area in Llandudno where it lies almost below sea level, and I think that we will be working closely with Dŵr Cymru to see what alleviation may possibly be undertaken as part of that type of funding. There are a number of projects ongoing at the moment being reviewed in Conway: Church Street, Dolwydd Ellen, Llansannan Flood Alleviation Scheme, the Graegryd Road, Penamawr Scheme, Bryn Helig, Penamawr, School Bank Road, Llanrwst, and Coastal Risk Management projects under Crump. Conway Council has 5 schemes within the Crump which seeks to improve the existing coastal defences in line with predicted sea level rise and climate change forecast. These coastal defences improvement schemes are situated at the following locations: Llanfechan, Llandudno, North and West Shore, Penrhyn Bay, Colwyn Bay, Bays 2, and Llanillas to Kinmel Bay. There are also small schemes in the pipeline under the SSS. Local authorities can apply for capital funding to repair, maintain and improve existing flood defences infrastructure, such as trash screens, culverts and drainage systems. The installation of telemetry is also covered within this scheme, and there's schemes such as the Station Road to Galway and the Morwa Drive, Conway. I'm sure Owen will elaborate, and then if there are any further questions, but Owen is here to elaborate on that report.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for that introduction, Gronwy. Before I go to Owen, I just want to I'll let Owen introduce the report. But so before I open the debate, I just want to put a question to the committee regarding these reports and the significant work that goes into them and timescales, etc. But if you go through the report for us, Owen, and then I'll just put a question to the committee before opening the debate.
Good evening, councillors. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come here this evening and present this report. My first thing I want to do with this report is apologise to Councillor Gronwy, because he did provide a comment in the report that's in front of you and saved on the reports pack. There's no comment, awaiting comment from Councillor Gronwy, but you did approve a comment, Councillor Gronwy, so I'll make sure that that's cleared up.
That's okay. Yes, I did provide a comment. That was, I'm extremely proud of the work that Conway has done as far as flood alleviation schemes in Conway over the last 3 or 4 years. The amount of work that's been delivered along the coastal and inland has been phenomenal, and the work that our office has done can only be applauded in the highest way.
I think that's an acceptance of an apology there, Cronwy. So if I could hand back to Owen, thank you very much.
Yeah, sorry, Councillor Gronwy. I wasn't fishing for compliments there and asking you, but it was just to acknowledge that, and I didn't. Yeah, that wasn't what I was looking for. But that's great. That's great. Thank you very much about that. So this biannual report, it's right that we come and explain ourselves and what's happening on the flood risk reduction front. The report highlights, where our funding comes from. It's predominantly at construction stage from the Welsh Government, but supported by the budget and capital business cases, which you as councillors approve, and we submit for your approval every year. Normally it's 15% contribution, which is not an insignificant amount of money when you come to the larger schemes at larger coastal schemes. We have typically our schemes in the regular programme, Church Street, Dalwood Ellen, and Clansannon. St Clansannon is completed. We have a couple in Penman-Mauer, and I know the 2 local councillors, including the Vice Chair here today. We have a meeting intending to have a meeting before Christmas with the Town Council to update them. I know that's quite important. Engagement with the local members it has been proven time and time again to be very valuable, both to engineers can design schemes and what they think the problem is, but to have the word from the people on the ground is so important. So I know the local members have been in touch with us about a meeting there before the end of the year. Schoolbank Road, Clanroost is in detailed design at the moment, and we would be seeking funding from the Welsh Government. We're at the point where we submit every year we submit a pipeline of what we hope to do as a local authority, as do the other 22 local authorities. So we'll be formulating our pipeline for the end of this calendar year to get into next year's pipeline. But as we say, it's not just Conwy County Borough Council that are experiencing finance difficulties. I think has been well recorded everywhere. All local authorities and the Welsh Government have got challenging times ahead. However, a bit of good news: our coastal risk management programme, we've successfully delivered Penryn Bay since the last scheme, since the last report. That's complete. Colin Bay Phase 2B, I drove down past there today. The tarmac guys are on there at the moment, and I know we've said it several times. It's nearly there, but it genuinely is nearly there in Colin Bay Phase 2B. And Old Colwyn, by the end of this calendar year, we'll be very close to finishing. The guys are doing curbing there at the moment, and the blacktop tarmacking works are next, so that's very early next year. We should be finished that. We're working on Kimmel Bay, Clondallis Kimmel Bay, or mostly Kimmel Bay. The tender returns for that scheme were received last week, and so we're working on the tender appraisal report, and we'd hope to bring that to democracy in the very early new year to get approval to award a contract there for funding, approval of funding, and to award a contract for that scheme. And Llandudno, that is also under in detailed design stage, with a view to getting the works tendered, the proposed works tendered this calendar year, before the end of December. And I hope to have a meeting with the Llandudno Coastal Forum before the end of before Christmas. There was talk about that. Small scale schemes are just generally small scale schemes. That one in Station Road and Morva Drive will make a big difference. Basically, the non-return valves on tidal systems. So anyone that's familiar with Morva Drive will know, where we've got a very high tide. Sometimes it floods around that area. That's basically water can't get out of the system because the tide is in. So the tide is flowing back up the pipe So a non-return valve will sort that out. However, it's not just as simple. It's in a tidal environment, and consenting is quite difficult in that area. However, that's been progressed, and we'd hope to have those two schemes finished by the end of the financial year. Resilient Roads was the old Colwyn scheme. So again, we have funding there confirmed up to the end of this financial year, and our project manager is working on that. You know, as I said, the curbing and the blacktop are going down in the early new year in that area. The curbing is down at the moment. A new thing which we haven't had before on this programme or movement is this natural flood management, which basically is a grant package available from the Welsh Government to try and limit the amount of, it's a bit less definite in the sense that you don't see a physical concrete structure which is protecting a community. This is more to do with the softer end of things, the upper catchments, trying to limit flows. And we've been successful in securing funding for 4 areas in Compamacno, Llansan and Capelcurrig, and a county-wide scheme as well. In Appendix F, I think there's more details on that, as there is for all the schemes. So there is a lot of detail in Appendix F. If you're a local councillor, go to Appendix F, have a look at it. Appendix E, there's a map there that shows where we've got schemes. Quite happy to take any calls or discussions about that from any councillor at any time. However, there is one thing here now which is new to us, and this is something that we've got a statutory responsibility or duty to provide. It's a local flood risk management strategy, and we have one. It's in place from 2013, but it needs to be reviewed and updated in accordance with the new Welsh Government strategy, which was updated in 2019. So we are working on this strategy. We will be coming to democracy hopefully by the end of March with a draft strategy. By no means that, and that's basically how we as a county handle flood risk, because people, you know, flood risk is an issue for a lot of people when you have an event like Storm Babette, but we have flood risk every day of the week. We consider flood risk, and we need guidance from you as the councillors, guidance from the local population in the priorities. We have very definite views based on our experience over the years of what, you know, what flood risk means in Conwy County, but we will be putting out to public consultation, you know, a questionnaire basically to determine, you know, do you agree with what our objectives are as a county, you know, which will be in line with the national strategy. You know, the Welsh Government have laid down a national strategy. We as a local authority and all local authorities have to follow that. So over the coming months, you'll probably see on social media, certainly I'll be in touch with local councillors about this local strategy. Just generally 3.3 on the appendix or on the report, just to give you an idea of some of the local and national initiatives that we're involved in. You know, we're involved in North West Flood Risk Managers groups, the National Infrastructure Commission, we're a member of that, shoreline management groups, Liverpool Bay, West Wales shoreline management groups, various flood groups such as the Llandudno Coastal Forum, Clwyd Forum, Morfa Rudland Flood Group. You know, so we would like to think that we are actively involved in promoting, I don't mean promoting flood because that's not the name of the game, but promoting awareness about flooding. And if you go to any of the hyperlinks in the appendices at the back of the report, there is a raft of information there. And, you know, it's information that's, you know, Storm Babette, we had, that was a significant event that came to us in October. You know, previously we've had events in, you know, January, February. That was in October. We had 2. We had Kieran just after it as well. We are having these events more and more. Unfortunately, we have properties flooded. I was at a property yesterday morning over in the east of the county, and there is no easy solution. The council, unfortunately, and you know, people need to understand flood risk, and that'll be the objective of the national or the local strategy, to make people have informed decisions around flood risk, because it isn't always, oh, I flooded, the gullies are blocked. That's certainly our experience and evidence. You know, it's very, very seldom that is the case. It's either, you know, there's issues with water courses, issues with existing design, existing, you know, location where we're at. We live in a beautiful part of the world, but unfortunately we get a lot of rain. We live beside the mountains, which are great to explore, but they're hard, impermeable surfaces. We have lovely river walks, but we have rivers in flood in times of significant events. So we need to be mindful. We need to prepare. We need to adapt, and we need to be aware of what's coming down the line. So, the senior flood risk officer roles, the flood risk manager roles within our county, they're busy roles. They're busy roles which require, well, I'll make my pitch here. We require funding, and we require, because we impact, we aim to reduce flood risk to our significant members of our community. We have a lot of people that are living on the coast that are at risk of coastal flood risk. However, our schemes, which you as councillors have funded, will significantly reduce flood risk to all those communities running from Kimmel Bay over to Lamberbecken. So going forward, I hope in the next 6 months, when I come back to you in 6 months' time, or when I present the report, hopefully I'll be saying to you, we have Llandudno on site. I'd hope to be saying we have Kimmel Bay on site. And I'd like to be telling you about the funding that we've received from the Welsh Government for to take forward new schemes. But quite happy to take any questions from any councillors tonight or any time about this report. Thank you.
Thank you very much for all the detail and the work you and the team do. You are protecting our residents, you're protecting our businesses from the serious and awful situations of certainly internal flooding when it goes in. Before I open up for debate, I've listened to you there, Owen, and you've sort of led into some consideration I'd like members of this committee to think about. You say you're actively involved, and you visited a flood victim yesterday. I've picked that up here. You consider flood risk every day. And I just want to put this to the committee, as members are kept informed of schemes in their wards, which you've assured us that you do, and due to the significant amount of resource it takes to prepare all the individual progress reports, and as our forward work programme is very congested, and it's only this item's only for information, I wonder if it's better use of time if we had this report as an annual report. And I just want members of this committee to think about that. Obviously, if there's a significant event, you can come and talk to us and give us information regarding that. But I see how busy you are, and I'm just wondering whether if we went to an annual report, it would help you. And I look at you now, Owen. I'm sure it would help you if we took that little bit extra pressure off. But it's something that I'd like this committee to think about.
I'm not, listen, I'm not looking here to dodge any reporting or thing. I'm happy, it takes a fair bit of work. However, if we report to democracy, and if you want to report every 6 months, we'll do the report every 6. There is no problem there. It's whatever democracy decides, and don't think that, they're under, reporting, if you're involved in getting, grant funding from the Welsh Government, you have to report to the Welsh Government. Now, I'm not going to sit here. I know there is a lot of work in that report, but I've pulled it in from different sources. I have other people that help me out as well. There is a lot of work in it. The reason I would say, maybe because I don't want to miss the opportunity, say within the next 6 months, and I might be talking myself into a job here, but our scrutiny, our local flood risks strategy, that's going to be that's going to define how we as a council manage flood risk for the next 10 years minimum. And that's a really important report, and we'll be coming to scrutiny and hopefully in March on that. It's up to yourselves, councillors. Either way. I'm not. I'll leave that completely up to democracy.
I appreciate that. I mean, a few years back, I was the cabinet member for environment, and I visited sites, flood sites, etc. And I'm sure personally, I'd rather you out inspecting and designing jobs and coming here in the chamber at 6 o'clock on a Wednesday night. I just want the committee to consider that. It's, I'm not trying to dodge anything, and you've heard the honest response from the officer here, but I'm just thinking about workload, and I'm also being a bit selfish that I'm also looking at our forward work programme. And if that could help, you know, we perhaps get more time for scrutiny and other items. But as I said, if there's an event, you know, we would hear about it. I'll go back to that afterwards. I'll open the debate now for questions. Councillor Simon Croft, I've got first.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I just wanted to raise a question about the Phase 2B Cayley Prom project. It's making great progress and I'm very impressed with what's been done. But for some reason, the kiosks haven't been started. And I spoke to the contractors down there and they said it's going to be done by somebody else. I'm concerned that they won't be ready for the next season.
Thank you for that, Councillor Simon. I'll look towards the cabinet member for that, a response to that.
Kiosks are part of a separate project in a way. We're waiting for expression of interest before kiosks will be built. And obviously, we need to know, is there a demand there? And then once that demand is realised, we will then be looking at delivering kiosks to meet that demand. It's not part of this initial scheme. What if that helps?
Okay, thank you for that. I'm sure if Simon, you could have a chat with Simon
more than happy
as
to.
well. So I've got Councillor Chris Hughes next, followed by Councillor Sam.
Thanks, Chair. The flood risk is becoming more and more prevalent, as you know. I think the last time you reported to this committee, I raised with you the issues of the potential collapse of the part of the dingle. As you'll be aware, the very first big flood after the attenuation scheme, which was put in as part of SUDS, as part of a planning application, which was approved 2 years ago. We saw that system fail, and we've seen this council incur a significant amount of costs to repair all of or will incur costs to repair the dingle footpath and bridleway, which large parts of it collapsed into the Avon Nantes and ended up on the beach. My concern is, the point I want to raise is around these attenuation schemes and the SUD schemes. If they're not fit for purpose in the first place, the type of project that you're developing now is there's going to be even greater need, and that's going to impinge on our costs because these are very rarely 100% funded. What are we doing to ensure that when we approve planning applications, that the scheme that we put in isn't just fit for purpose today, but is future proofed against global warming, which we're seeing, you know, the amount of incidents we're seeing now. I was at an event recently. There were 800 weather events that hit Northern Europe last year. Compare that to in 2000, when there was just 150 serious weather events. You know, we've got to build in the capacity to ensure that we don't have the flood risk problems further downstream that we're having already. As you've seen, the attenuation scheme which we put in which was in my ward, flooded. It failed, and yet there is already a planning application approved last year, which hasn't yet been enacted, which will seek to put more water into the same watercourses that have already failed. So I want to know what we're doing to address that and ensure that when we're putting in attenuation schemes, they are actually fit for purpose.
Hi, Councillor Chris. Thanks very much for both. Thanks for your help. I received a very useful email from yourself quite soon after Storm Babette, where you highlighted some very specific issues. Just in regard and say to design and future design, the Welsh Government provide design standards. Okay, so we do some internal design by our consultancy service, but the majority of our works are designed externally. by civil engineering consultants or general engineering consultants. There's a design standard. It's normally for a 1 in 100-year event in 100 years' time with climate change. So that's the standard that they're designed to. So no scheme should be designed that isn't able to cope with present day and future, as we anticipate the future to be as given in the guidance by UK government, so UK Welsh government, it's the same, we sort of use similar guidance. So that's the design. So that's what it should be designed to. Now, the issue there regarding schemes that have been implemented, well, you know what, if you design a scheme and it's very, very rare, I would say, that an engineer designs a scheme that doesn't work. What maybe is less rare is having a scheme which may be not maintained. And the schemes can be designed on paper, work perfectly, but you'll always find that there's a maintenance regime, whether it's a beach that you're after importing, whether it's a cobbled bank sitting in front of a stepped revetment, there is always maintenance to happen. And I think, Councillor Chris, specifically in one of the events that you may be talking about, maybe maintenance came down, maybe the attenuation may not have been the problem in the past, maybe it was lack of maintenance of a scheme which may have caused what we call out of channel flow. So we're still working on that one, Councillor Chris, and we're very aware of those concerns that you raised and your residents in the area. Regarding the dingle, well, the dingle, yeah, so the dingle is at the end of the day, that's from a flood risk point of view, that's a highways issue, and definitely the volume of water coming in. I think we had 57 mil of rain on that October the 27th. We have a weather station at Conwy Harbour, significant rainfall between 6 o'clock and 8:30 in the morning. The coast got it this time, Clanroost, Clanvar TH, Clansannon in the past suffered, but this time it was the coast right across the coastal fringe. So the dingle, while yes, we've had erosion, I don't equate the two. I don't equate the issues with, certainly with the unmaintained SAB features upstream to the damage that was done on the dingle. But you ask, well, what are we doing in relation to flood risk from rainfall? Well, there is a system in place now called a sustainable drainage body. So each local authority, if you're a developer and you're making a planning application, you also have to make what they call a sustainable drainage application. So if you want to build 10 houses, you have to tell me, you have a statutory duty to come to me as a representative of the local authority and make a SAB application. And that has to highlight how you're going to handle surface water drainage. Now, the development that you may have talked about in the past, Councillor Chris, may not have been, this is new legislation which only came in the last couple of years. So other developments that may not have benefited from this SAB standards. So those standards are not just to do with limiting the amount of water that comes off a new development. And when I talk about new development, I'm talking about the water off the roof, the water off the hard surfaces, whereas before you had a field water soaked into a field, now you have a roof, you have tarmac driveways. So a developer has to consider that, make an application to us as a SAB, as the SAB body, and satisfy us. And that is what's happening on new developments, Councillor Chris. On older developments prior to 2019, I think it might have been 2019, 2020, that would not have been the case. So there is a process in place, Councillor Chris, and all developers, it's as important as planning applications. And the penalties if you don't comply with SAB, I believe, are quite stringent, maybe even more so than planning. So going forward, we shouldn't find ourselves in but this is all to do with maintenance as well, Councillor Chris. A developer has to, and in previous iterations, developers have to maintain, or the owner has to maintain the asset. So so we certainly don't want to be.
Can I come back, Chair? Because this actually, this was the first SABS development that we have undertook within the county, and within the spatial plan and Welsh Government's planning policies, it actually says now that they have to take account of potential flood risk downstream as a consequence of the work that they do. But what they've done is they actually did more work than what they've gone into fields above where the planning application site was, and they've done more. But the actual attenuation system that was put in on a helig was subject to SABs, and it completely failed. It failed abysmally.
Specific sites now, I wouldn't comment on, Councillor Chris, and I'm not too sure now that is the guy. While I'm talking about the SUDS features, as in like the way that you manage the water, but the legislation I think may have come in after that, well, after certain developments, and I won't, because if there's issues there that need to be looked at from a council point of view, they need to be looked at. But I can certainly, well, it's not that I am, we are looking at that those areas of concern, Councillor Chris.
Could I just come in, Councillor Chris? Can perhaps yourself and Owen just get it clarified on dates and what have you, if you could take that?
We've got all the paper. I mean, myself and some of the residents have got all the papers and all the documentation. The guy that leading this is a former chief inspector of police here in North Wales, and I'll tell you, everything is there, chapter and verse.
Okay, well, you got the offer there that you can meet up with Owen and investigate that further.
We'd certainly appreciate that, because I know there's a lot more have gone into it. But whilst I was referring to this specific project, Chair, it's not just about what's going on in my ward. It's about ensuring that we limit the impact on our authority in the future by ensuring that the schemes are future-proof, and maybe we have to revisit Welsh Government guidelines as to what those schemes should be, because this just failed completely on the very first attempt.
Okay, what we'll do, Chris, obviously you've had the offer there. You can meet up with Owen, and then perhaps once it's investigated, we can look at that. So I'm conscious we are running on, and I've got Councillor Sam and then Councillor Tom. Councillor Sam online.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Three things. The point that you made about how often this is reported to this committee. Thank you, Owen, for your report. I think the point's already been made that flooding is becoming an increasing problem. So I think it's important that we get these reports, certainly biannually, because I appreciate that some of these schemes might not have moved on since they were last reported, but I think it's important that councillors and this committee just keep an eye on this, just to make sure that we're aware of how these things are progressing, and that things are flagged up to us at an early stage. So if that needs to be a proposal, then I'm happy to propose that. I had 2 points for Owen. Obviously, I'm going to go to page 100 in the reports pack document, Owen, which is the Deganwy Station Road scheme. Now, I'm sure last time this came to us, you said that there was a feasibility study. So I'm guessing, because we're now talking about valves, that the feasibility has been done. But I was concerned, is £40,000 the cost of the entire project, the feasibility study and the report, or is there going to be further funding needed? And the other thing, on page 101, I can see your plan there is one of the watercourses that comes off the Vardra, goes under the road and comes out the other side of the railway line. But when you come down the hill into the village from the Deganwy Castle, I'm wondering how many other watercourses are gathering at that point on Station Road, and are going to be released at that point. And is this work going to cope with the amount of water that's going to be coming through that system? Thank you.
Hi, Councillor Sam. Thanks very much for your comments there. Just be very specific now what we're going to do here with this, okay? And we'll address, we're addressing the what we've found. We would work with Cymru Welsh Water. We're not doing this in isolation. We've sought this is a small scale scheme pot of money. So small scale says what it does, what it says in the tin. It's small scale interventions. We identified a problem last year and we got funding for it this year. And the problem, that we had responsibility for within our statutory remit, was identified as being the water coming back up the pipe into and flooding from that, preventing flows from leaving, flows getting locked into, with the tidal. The tidal influence. So it's a non-return valve. That's what we're putting in Station Road. And you may say, my God, £40,000, that's a lot of money for a valve. But it's not just that, it's the consenting. It's the one of these valves. It's not, you won't get one in Screwfix if you know what I'm talking about. Like, there's a significant piece of work. You need to work in a tidal environment. You have to get specialist equipment to basically work in the tidal environment. Hopefully we'll be able to use, we've been working with our harbour master and we may be able to avail of his facilities to install it. I'm quite happy, Councillor Sam, maybe to go through with that in detail, the specific problems in that area. One of my colleagues, Simon, has been, this is his project, and I'm quite happy to take it away from this meeting to explain to you exactly what we're doing there in the area and what flood risk it will reduce, but and there may be residual issues there, Councillor Sam, but but I'm very happy to get a meeting between yourself and Simon to explain that to you and any of the other local members.
That would be lovely, Owen. Shall I email you to try and get
Please.
that sorted out? Lovely, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for that. And thank you for that, Owen. Perhaps you could have a look at Black Friday. You may get some special offers on non-return valves. Just member protocol, I'd suggest that the other representative from Deganwy also be involved. Councillor Julie Fallon, yeah. So I've got, thank you, Councillor Tom and Councillor Chris Cater.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I have 2 points. If I'd ask the first and let Owen respond, because my second point kind of ties into what I think he's going to say back to me. But before I get into that, this is the first time I've been in a room with Owen since the flooding, and I wanted to put on record my thanks to him as well, because I was emailing him and calling him until I think it was about 11:30 was our last call the night of the floods to talk about coastal flooding and how it was going to affect the flooding that was going on in. Yeah,
Tom, can I just say thank you for that? That's and he's still prepared to come here every 6 months. So and Councillor Sam online, it was just something that I just wanted to ponder. It wasn't a recommendation. I'm getting a feeling that you'd like to see him every 6 months. Tom, over to you.
Thanks. So I'm going to be talking specifically about the Llandudno one, but my point is more general. Can we get assurances that when the full designs are done and when you're ready to move forward, though, and before you do that public information day, that local members are updated as well? Because I just cast my mind back to everything that happened with the paddling pools, not wanting to relive that, but there were times where members were getting information from the press instead of from the council before it went public. And I'm sure that when you get closer to rolling out these plans and starting to put shovels in the ground, a lot of residents are going to be getting in touch with myself and other local members. So it would be really good if we could maybe perhaps come to the local area forum, or I'm not sure what you think is best, but just so local members have that information. Is that okay, Owen?
Absolutely, Councillor Tom. This is regarding the Llandudno Coastal Defence Improvement Scheme. Yeah, that's the scheme. Yeah, absolutely. I'd working with yourself, Councillor Harry, Councillor Louise. I know we'll be. I've seen email correspondence there about meetings with the Llandudno Coastal Forum, but I'm quite happy to go to. I know we've sort of in the office ourselves. I think Friends of West Shore. I think I've seen email correspondence about going meeting those that representative group for that particular area.
Owen, could I, if I could interject, I think just a communication plan.
Yes,
Tom
okay.
would be happy with that, and yeah, I get that. That's fine. You want us to come back?
Yeah, just really quickly, because I know that this meeting is being live streamed and recorded, so it'd be remiss of me not to ask now. Can I just get assurances that even with the scheme going ahead, the scheme does not negate or prevent the possibility of sand being put on North Shore in the future? Owen, I know you know my view and the view of the Llandudno Coastal Forum and many residents of Llandudno is that the preferred option is for sand. So I just wanted assurances that this project won't prevent or negate that from possibly happening in the future. Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Tom. Yeah, I can 100%. Well, when I say 100%, because what's 100%? No, I can. It certainly will not, Councillor Tom. There is nothing in the design of the proposed design of the coastal defence improvement works that we're proposing will negate the possibility of putting a sand beach back in parts of Llandudno. One of the things that we will be doing is explain, like, you know, it's very important to explain to the local community, and it's not just you, Councillor Tom, or some local residents. Democracy has said they want to have a sand beach, because I've brought reports here where the resolution from Democracy is that, you know, we as Economi County Borough Council want to pursue the sand option. So, you know, I think the democratic body has said that. But no, there is nothing, Councillor Tom, in what we will be proposing will impact negatively on putting at some stage in the future, if funding is available, a sand beach at parts of North Shore. No, that's
okay.
No problem.
Thank you for that, Owen. Thank you. Councillor Chris Cater.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm not on this committee, so thank you for letting me ask Owen a question about flap valves and duckbill valves. I noticed that the solution for the Station Road, that, you know, the awful situation that we have so frequently on Station Road when the tide is high and the rain comes down, it's been going on for years, hasn't it, Chair? But anyway, yeah, that's putting that aside. We have flooding between Morver Road and Rose-on-Sea Golf Club, and I believe that's the fault of the significant Welsh water discharge there, Owen. And I'm just wondering, have the valves there been cleared out, and are they working now? Because I know at one point the flooding was occurring because the outlet valve, I don't know whether it's a flap one or a duckbill one, but it wasn't working. So just to ask you that question, please.
Hi, Councillor Chris. This is the Ganol. Is it the outfall from the Ganol? Is it we're talking about here? From, yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah,
the outfall from the
is
Ganol.
that major outfall that's just between the Rose Golf Club and Penryn Bay, Morver Road. Yeah.
And I have received excellent footage of that event, and the way you know, the way that whole system, well, it's not excellent in the sense that the problem that it identified, but I received drone footage of that event during after it, so you could see exactly what the problems is. The Ganol is obviously managed by the Natural Resource Wales. I know they were going back in there, you know, after Storm Babette. There's generally where we are. We just need to, if we take a step back, if the tide is in, and it was in at 10 to 12 or 10 past 12 on October the 20th, we had significant rain for the 6 hours before that. Water can't get out. And we've got a problem in a lot of places around the county and in rivers where water can't get out of the system. Preliminary investigations may identify something like that may have occurred in Llandudno, where water during Storm Babette, where water just can't get out of the system. It's full. You can't, if the outlet is underwater and there's more water coming into it, water just backs up, fills up the system, and until the water level, the tide drops and the water level can force itself out through that valve, you know, that's the problem that we have. So to get the water out of the system, well, you either have to pump it out, but the volume of water that you know, that we have to try and pump out a whole catchment it's quite challenging. That particular area, Councillor Chris, I know Welsh or Natural Resource Wales because I was at a meeting with them about something else after Storm Babette, and they had talked about that. I can come back to you, Councillor Chris, on that, same way as I'll go back to Councillor Sam in relation to Station Road. I can come back to you and confirm what actions have been taken there. But it is, the outfall is Natural Resource Wales. It's their responsibility, and they do have a maintenance team. They're not shoddy or shabby in doing the work. They have a programme in place, so I'd be surprised if they haven't addressed it, Councillor Chris.
Yeah, thank you very much. And just while you're here and I'm here, just thank you again for that wonderful scheme, that coast defence scheme in Penryn Bay. Just couldn't.
Okay.
Unity to
Yeah, thank you for that. It's at times like this I miss the Conway Drainage Group, which we used to sit sort of every couple of months and discuss ward issues. As you say, Owen, you know, it's ward members, those that are on the street that give out the information. I've got Councillor Andrew Wood online, and if there's no others in the room, no other questions or speakers, I've got Mandy. Okay, I've got your notes there, Mandy. So, Councillor Andrew.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me speak. Obviously, I'm not part of this committee. I've just sent an email to Owen and Geraint. We've just got a ward issue. It is very quickly. Tollbar Corner, Section 19 report in 2016. Some flood alleviation was done a few years ago. It's not worked, unfortunately, so we need to revisit it. So I'd like it minuted, please. This particular property needs, and it's, yeah, Rowan will go on about it's the water off the land, but there's a problem with the design of the ditch and the way it runs into a chamber. I'll stop there because we need to look at that. And secondly, obviously Abergele was taken out of the coastal protection system because, of course, it was deemed to be low risk. But can we please look to the future now of looking at a protection system for T-Crum? Owen did mention it the other day, but I need to know, please, what we're thinking of for the future, because this is a seawall which had to have concrete and steel shuttering to protect it. Obviously, Colwyn Bay comes first, and Kimmel Bay. There's lots of people living around there, but I'd like to know what's going to be doing for the future. We've got to be careful there because there is an environmental disaster going to happen there somewhere on the line. We have a very big old tip that runs to Conway, and it's been breached a few years ago, and it looks like without proper investigation or proper looking at it or protection, similar to a groin from Royston Sea or something like that, it's going to obviously be breached again. So thank you, Chair, for going to that.
I've watched Owen noting them, and I'll make a suggestion that be answered after the meeting. Go back. Do you want to come back, Owen? Go on. If you want to come back, you come back. I'm mindful the next report we're 20 minutes late. However, I don't think it's too controversial. It's a toilet strategy for Conway. But yeah, I'm mindful that we want to give members a good hearing. I took it as a ward issue. Owen wants to come back. I'll give you that opportunity.
10 seconds in each one.
No, you take as much time. Well, not as much time, but no, I'll let you come back on that.
Okay, Tollbar Cottage, but the work that we have done did not fail. Okay, it's just there is additional problems there with runoff coming from the land behind it, acres and acres of catchment. Okay, so it's not correct, Councillor Wood, and there is still an issue, and it breaks my heart when I see the issues that's still happening there. But I will come to you, Councillor Wood, maybe within the week about that, and maybe meet you there on site, because I completely understand there's outstanding works to be done. Second thing, looking to the future, what we're doing at T-Crun, as I explained at Scrutiny Finance, that we've secured funding to do a study there on that T-Crun. Funding, it's all about money, Councillor Andrew, and the funding was prioritised for the biggest gain on the coastal scheme. But I did explain to you there last Monday at Scrutiny what we were going to do, and that's still the case. And regarding the tip, there is no issue with the tip. The existing tip, which was part of a coastal defence scheme back in 2014, Llandolus tip, where there had been a breach of the protection to the tip, we imported rock armour, and where the Armourflex material had been stripped off in the storms in 2013, December 2013, 2014, that was replaced. So I'm not aware of any problem at all in the tip area, which is between T Crun and the caravan park at Thornley's, but I'd be quite happy for you to identify where that is, and I can investigate that. So that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Owen. Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
have
no,
this
thank you very
meeting.
much.
Thank
That
you.
was useful. Thank you, Owen. Online, I think the last speakers, Councillor Mandy.
Thanks, Chair. Owen, just a quick one, really, just to say, whenever you are doing the consultation, the talks regarding the Llandudno coastal forum, I am a member of the ward there in Llandudno, the Gilgarth Moston ward. Will you please ensure you let me know as well? And also, I have sent a couple of emails regarding some blocked drains and gullies, which is not being dealt with. So next time you're in Llandudno, I'd like to really just meet up with you, just to go through those areas, because I know recently when we did have those floods in Llandudno, there was another area as well, and it's only the water board were there that they managed to pump the water out, and they'd actually said to residents that the house would have been flooded, if they hadn't done. So I need to just point, those areas out to you as well, so you know exactly where they are.
Thanks very much, Councillor Mandy. I really have to apologise for not including you on the when I mentioned the other local members. I'm sorry about that. Regarding the gullies, I take your comments on board. Just one thing I'll say this, and I'll finish up with this now in this report. It's very easy to identify, the gullies blocked, properties have flooded. No properties that I am aware of in the last event flooded because of blocked gullies. It's inconvenient. There was water. There certainly were areas where there was water close. But if you go to Llandudno, I was there on site at 8 o'clock on the Saturday morning, 21st. Every one of the gullies were clear, all around the whole area. So gullies are generally not the issue. We have 32,000 gullies in the county. We have limited resources. We put in business cases. Sometimes they're successful, sometimes they're not successful for additional resource. But Councillor Mandy, I'm very happy to come to Llandudno and meet up with you, and I'm very happy. So there's 3 councillors now I have meeting, 4 now with Councillor Wood, so bad day for me now having all these meetings. Thank you very much.
I am sorry, but yeah, thank you very much. I have got the video as well to show you that what the residents gave me, so yeah, I'll forward that on to you. Thank you.
Councillor Mandy, that you copies me into that email about these gullies that they say they're blocked, so I can. I will do. Gronwyn. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna finish this off, and I'm not one for stifling. I'm not one, everybody I hope has had a fair chance to have their say. I certainly take on board, at the start I said about consideration, but I think given the feeling and certainly the passion from the officers and the teams that are behind them, in this instance, I'm happy that I'm not going to consider it. That we carry on with the biannual for now, because there's a lot of work to be done. So if we look at the recommendation on page 67 of this report, you'll see that the recommendation that Economy and Place Overview and Scrutiny Committee note this report and the associated dependencies. So I am looking for a proposer for this. I've got Councillor Tom, seconder, Councillor Chris, and all those in favour? Seems pretty unanimous. Yeah. So that's carried. I think, it'd be remiss of me now, Owen, there was me trying to lighten your workload, and you've gone away today with a whole bag of councillors to go. But I think I'm sure I speak on behalf of this committee, the council as a whole, to thank you. And obviously, if you could convey that gratitude to your team. I can see, you've got the head of service alongside you there, but, the work you do, I started off by you're protecting our communities, you're protecting residents, you're protecting business is, and I don't pull away from that. So, you know, please go away from here with a very, very busy agenda for the next couple of weeks, but, you know, with our sincere gratitude for what you do. So thank you very much. And if you want to go off, because I don't think you're part of the next the next agenda item, you're more than happy to stay if you want to talk toilets, or you can go. Okay, so thank you once again. Thank you very much for that. So the second item on item 9 is the local toilet strategy. You can find this report on pages 115 to 132. It was not in jest when I actually said I don't think this report's controversial. I think when you look at this report, it's just looking about how do we go, it's not making any proposals about certain toilets, whatever, but it's about looking at a way forward and how do we go forward with our public convenience situation. So I honestly don't think it's that controversial, but I probably shot myself in the foot by doing that. This report is to be presented by Gronwy Edwards, who's a cabinet member for infrastructure. I've then got Geraint, who's just going to come in and touch, I think, a little bit on the communication process, and that'll be then followed by Gary Williams, who's the facility manager. So, Councillor Gronwy, if I could hand over to you to just introduce this report, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yes, this is the local toilet strategy report on pages 115. Summary and key points. The Public Health Wales Act 2017 places a duty onto local authorities in Wales to prepare a public and local toilet strategy for its area to assess the local need for public toilets and details how the need will be met in the future. The Act requires local authorities to take a strategic view on how public toilets can be provided and accessed, considering a range of options to make facilities available to the public. The Act does not require local authority to provide or maintain public toilets themselves. It does, however, require them to consider all available options to provide public toilets through direct provision of working with a private business to make facilities available to the public. The strategy aims to review the provision of public toilets in Conway to ensure the service can continue in a way which is sustainable, taking into account current and future financial pressures whilst meeting the needs of residents and visitors to Conway. So the recent consultation, there has been a consultation which closed yesterday. There's over 220 people have responded to that consultation. That has taken place to gauge the opinion of the provision of facilities, has highlighted that a clean and safe, affordable facility is considered to be important. Over half the respondents stated they were happy to pay for facilities, whereas those that would not use them stated it is due to the condition and cleanliness. Managing these expectations within the available budget has become increasingly challenging as we've been helped to find significant savings over the last couple of years in the ERF portfolio, and keeping the facilities safe and clean condition will require alternative solutions to maintain a robust service with the available budget. Now, we have over 48 toilets currently in Conway, 50 altogether, but 4 of them are managed by community groups, and the remaining toilets are managed by ourselves. There are also at the moment 8 toilets which are not open due to either vandalism or due to breakages, and those are undergoing review. I'll just turn to the consultation, if you just bear me for a second while I get it up on my screen. Where are we? So, as I said, the consultation closed yesterday. We extended the consultation to ensure that everybody had an opportunity to respond, including town and community councils. We have had, as I say, 221 have responded. 79 of the respondents agreed that the strategy is clear, understandable and appropriate. 76 of the respondents agreed that plans to meet future needs detailed in the strategy are clear and easy to understand. So with those words, I'm happy to hand over to Geraint. But as I say, we're looking to the future and looking at the options to deliver toilets and to maintain toilets, because as has been said by many of the people that responded to the strategy, we are a tourism area and toilets are deemed to be desirable. So it's how we go about achieving that. Personally, if we had the option, I would like to see, if they ever come in with a tourism tax, that would certainly go a long way to provide the toilets that many of our tourism visitors expect. But currently we don't have that additional funding, and as you know, we're looking at probably a significant saving to our budget again this year.
Thank you, Councillor Gromley, for that. Can I ask Geraint Edwards, the head of ERF, just to give us a quick update? I know Gromley's touched upon the consultation, but if you could give us a quick update that before handing over to Gary, please.
Before Gary takes you through the report, I just wanted to take the opportunity to quickly clarify and update you on the timeline for the current consultation. Consultation opened in July. By mid-September, we had received only 23 responses. We then decided to reach out again to our communities, and we reopened the consultation. It was promoted on Facebook, reaching some 7,000 people, which is above the average for many of our Facebook posts, and over 1,000 people engaged with the post by clicking, sharing, commenting, and liking it. A link with the consultation webpage was emailed along with consultation questions and all related documents to all elected members, all town and community councils, and a selection of key stakeholder groups. The Facebook was shared by members of the public 22 times, including a number of community groups. As Councillor Gromley has told you, since the publication of your report in your pack, we have received additional responses, which now total 221. So I would like to correct the figure on page 119 of your report. Councillor Gromley has updated you with regard to the effects of the summary percentages in Appendix 3 of the report.
Thank you very much for that, Geraint. So going into the report now, if you'd like to introduce that then, Gary.
Apologies. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much. Yeah, as Councillor Gromley and Geraint have alluded to, we are looking this evening, please, to seek your approval to publish our PC, Public Toilet Strategy. The background to it has been provided already and is something that we are keen to pursue as quickly as we possibly can in order that we can sort of move ahead with the works thereafter. To give you some context, yes, 48 public toilets, 50 in all, 41 of them accessible, 22 baby changing facilities, and also water refill stations. Contrary to what you may read in some of the Facebook posts, you know, that is a pretty good service delivery. It is a service that we try to maintain for longer hours during the summer and close a little bit early during the winter. All of that is necessitated due to vandalism, etc., and those sort of unforeseeable things that rob our budget of making the service delivery as better than it could be. In terms of the buildings themselves, they're fairly old. The assets are old. We accept that that is the case. That is another feature that comes out of this consultation, that visitors alike will comment that they're in need, they need smartening up, etc. Residents will also see that too. The highest number of complaints we assume were going to be due to the charges being raised to try and draw in some income to address some of those issues. It's a mixed bag on that one. Some people are happy to do so, other people less so. Some maintain that they should be free. We have to maintain a building and assets like any building like the one we're in this evening to a standard that makes it safe. Otherwise we face litigation, which adds more pressure to Conway's finances. So the consultation itself was very well received, I'm pleased to say. There were some errors on our part in the beginning in terms of the dates. I think we corrected that, and it shows that the respondents have responded really quickly, and there's been a good cross-section. Not all of them negative, I'm pleased to say. I have scanned through them this afternoon, and there's some really positive comments there too. So for us, it's about looking for options now, and hopefully with your support, we can explore those further. Some of these options are going to be around transferring the public toilets to local groups. This will ensure that we can keep them open, where otherwise, sadly, and the sad question is that they may have to be closed. This is going to be a difficult process. We understand that all groups are struggling financially. Without assistance and some of the guidance, maybe, and the expertise that we can bring, I'm sure that can be realised with less pain. Community councils being one of those groups, we've already been in dialogue with a few. Some are showing a lot of interest, others less so. That's to be expected. With those that see it as a liability, I hope that we can dissuade them otherwise, and persuade them that we can assist with the transfer responsibilities that comes with it. It's been successful, as I say, in a few parishes, and I'm more than happy to discuss that further too. Another option we've considered would be to make greater use of our public buildings, ones that are open already. It seems to make sense because they're open anyway. There would be a greater opportunity to, I suppose, service them quickly, avoid things like vandalism and even abuse, and some of the other things that we have to deal with, which probably shouldn't go into this evening. These could be opened in key locations and certainly supplement areas where public conveniences in the traditional sense don't exist. These would be clean, they would be well maintained, and provide a secure and a welcoming environment. These are the things that are coming back frequently through the consultation, so we feel there's a win situation on that one. We could still include charges to raise income in some sites, not in all, obviously, but that would be something that we could explore as part of the delivery plan following this process this evening. Other options could be to promote these to the wider public. Look at the community toilet scheme, which has been a success in some areas. Some businesses take it up and manage it really well, others less so. That there would be our sort of officers' involvement in that. It's not just a case of somebody writes in and they get the grant, for want of a better word. Our officers would go and vet these premises too, just to make sure that the facilities I mentioned earlier, the accessibility, the baby changing, are all available, those as well, so that we're not reducing the service, shall we say. And then there's always the issue of the charges, which we have done last year. It isn't pleasant to have to do that. I myself don't want to pay more for things, but being realistic, we have to acknowledge that that is how things are going. We do it with our energy and our fuel for motor cars and things. This is no different, really. The cost of providing the backup, the backroom service, if you like, to these has gone up for us. So we have to try and find that money from somewhere. So basically what I ask tonight, I think, is that the strategy be approved on the merits and the grounds of how we've presented it, so that we can then move it forward. We acknowledge and accept that there will be worries. There will be probably some that will consider this to be a passing the buck situation, which it really isn't. It's all about delivering a strategy at the end that will give the users, the residents, and our visitors in particular, the facilities that we hope and pray that we can deliver within budget, of course. So the options really, I suppose, would be for yourselves to approve, publish a strategy initially, which we would hope you will do. Review and amend the strategy with some recommended changes, and then republish, and hopefully not reject. Just by way of some background, the original consultation that was undertaken in 2019 was pretty much the same as what we're seeing now. So clearly the strength of feeling is the same, that people do feel that they are valued and a piece of Conway's assets. I think what we're asking is to have your assistance here to be able to make that a reality. Pretty much, I think.
Okay,
that's it this afternoon. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Again, thank you for the work that's been done regarding this. Just before I open it up, obviously we're a tourism. We rely heavily on tourism, and I think this actual report gives us a strategy going forward with working in partnership with town and community councils, working in partnership with our local businesses. I have one business I spoke to basically said that they had actually seen an increase in footfall through opening. One criticism I have is where do I find out what businesses are participating? So it's a communication. You know, I was told to go online and look for it online, but if I need to go to the toilet, I'm not going to go online to look for that. But I think it's clear. I did say at the start it's not controversial. I think this is just taking the way forward and what we, you know, how we do take that forward. I have the first Councillor Gronwy as a cabinet member to come back on that, and then I've got Councillor Louise online after Gronwy.
Thank you, Mike. And just one thing I forgot to mention, that the toilets we have a small team of staff that clean and maintain those toilets, and I would like to thank those team of workers that go around, and it's not always a pleasant job, some of the stuff they have to they come across when they're cleaning these facilities, but they do maintain the toilets to a very high standard, in my opinion, considering, you know, some of the facilities are of an age and are more challenging than others to maintain. But I would like to thank that team. On the issue of the you mentioned the better signage, that's something we do really need to look at. The ones that are participating in the £500 scheme for opening their premises, I think we really do need to look at much better signage than that currently exists. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. Well, it's on my mind, if I never said it, is you know, if we're getting plagued by vandalism, I mean, one, we need to vandal proof as best we can, but the other is I hope we're, you know, talking to our police colleagues, you know, and reporting vandalism, because if we've got an area, perhaps you know, CCTV could assist us. So just going back then, so I've got Councillor Louise, and then after that got Councillor Chris.
Thank you, and good evening everybody again. Yeah, you said it wasn't going to be controversial. I wish you'd just been a bit more sort of radical with the strategy and kind of move things along, because what I don't quite understand is, you know, I was in cabinet for 5 years, and every year during the budget discussion process, we discussed toilets. We discussed that we couldn't really afford them, that we would have to get town and community councils to step up, that the toilet scheme needed to be promoted better. Same conversation.
Councillor Louise, you're breaking up a little bit. I wonder if it
we find the ERF, well, the political lead of ERF. I'll turn my video off. Is that better?
Yeah, please. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I knew I should have come in. I hate being online. Okay, so you've thrown me now. What I'm trying to say is this is a discussion that happens every year when I was a cabinet member, and particularly when Greg Robbins had the ERF portfolio, he pushed back and said, no, we really need to keep toilets going, and we need to make sure we don't close any. And we're now in the same position here, asking town councils to do it and community councils to do it, and maybe charging to go to the toilet. I think that's okay in this day and age. So why have we got a strategy now? I'm a little bit worried about this conversation happens every single year, and now we've got a strategy. So why have we got a strategy? We know what the problem is, and we know that the solution is to plead with town and community councils to help us out, or to get a toilet scheme much more better publicised and to get businesses. So why now for a strategy? I don't understand. It's the same old arguments.
Thank you for that. I've got Gronwy's come in to respond to that, Councillor Louise, and I hope you're better soon, by the way.
Thank you, Councillor Louise. Yes, good question. Why now? The main reason for why now is because we no longer can afford to maintain it. The current provision that we have, the cuts we've made over the last 2 or 3 years are no longer sustainable. We can no longer maintain them to the condition that we would like. So that is really brought to the fore that we need to go out and look at alternative delivery of our toilets and the provision of toilets in general. So and quite likely, as Louise said, it was in the days it's going to be going back for years. But now, if toilets are important to the county, we need to take that political decision that we either fund them themselves or we look at alternatives. And that's certainly my focus, is to look at the alternatives. If we cannot provide the money ourselves, we have to look at alternatives. Town and community councils have all now had the information. A letter has gone out this week from our Director of Finance, explaining the position that the county is in as far as their budget. across the board, we're looking at not just toilets. Obviously, there is a number of issues that we will be looking at, which includes play equipment, community skips, a whole raft of things, including things in leisure. So the Town and Community Council will have received that letter this week, and we will look at what their response is and what their appetite is in taking some of these very desirable services over. Can I just say that the community councils that have taken them over, they are in the rural areas, small community councils, Dowyd Ellen, Llangefni, Penmachnoth and Sanan. They've taken ownership of these toilets and providing a very good service, and it's working well for them. And maybe that is the solution for some of our toilets, whilst we do need to look at ensuring that the ones we do maintain are sustainable. We're charging 50p now to go into a toilet. We're looking at the ways of collecting that money. The long-term vision is to do away with coin-operated toilets, because they do provide pose a risk to the people collecting that money and the like. But that is something that we're looking forward to doing. There is the opportunity possibly to look if residents want to buy a card, because some say we can't do it without using coins. Well, we've looked into that, and that might be an option that residents can purchase a card from the authority and use that means to access the pay-as-you-go toilets. But it is a strategic and quite a fundamental review of the toilet provision that we're looking at now.
Okay, from what I read, it gives the service a platform to move forward, perhaps more hastily, but if adopted. I've got Councillor Chris
Okay,
online.
can I just come back? Can I just come back?
Yeah, go on.
Or not? Just quickly, thanks, Gromy, for that. I will support the strategy, but it is obviously a political decision. So, to speak to your Labour colleagues, because they said they would provide more toilets in their manifesto. So they've got it sussed. Over to you, Chris.
Thank you for that, Louise. If I knew that was coming, I might not have let you in. Anyway, yeah, okay. So Councillor Chris Hughes online, and Chris, don't respond to it. No. Over to you.
All I was going to say, Chair, is that I think it was 3-4 years ago when a request was made, the Bay of Colwyn Town Council actually looked into it, and at the time we had 5 blocks of toilets within the Bay of Colwyn Town Council area. I know there are currently only 3 operational, with 2 have closed down, but it was going to cost the town council, with insurances and cost of staff to maintain them and everything else, it was going to cost in excess of 125,000, which was 30% increase in our precept. Even now with just 3, with the increased costs, you're probably looking 25% increase in precept. It simply isn't going to happen, and it's unrealistic.
Jim, can I just come in on that? Now, we appreciate that some authorities may think that's too much of an ask of the ratepayers, but we are looking at an alternative scheme, which is sponsorship.
Yeah, I was going to just mention that sponsorship basically, if I'm right, would take away insurance worries, the employing staff to clean. So basically, Colwyn Bay, if I use that as an example, town council could put its badge above the door by sponsoring it, but Conwy County would deliver the service to it, cleaning, insurance, etc. That's the feedback I got a few years ago about the concerns of doing that, and I'm really pleased that the department's listened and said, yeah, we could do sponsorship. So I've got Tom, Bernice, and Paul. So I'm going to go to Councillor Tom.
That's great, Chair. Thank you. Sorry, I do have a couple of points. So again, I'll keep to the format of asking, allow the answer, and then come back if that's okay with you, Chair. That's great. Just a really quick one. Sorry, Garon, where you touched on this and I missed it. Am I right in thinking that the toilets where you do have to pay for them, do they take contactless payments or card payments, or do we not facilitate that?
That's the aim of this, is to provide whatever the word is, contactless means of accessing the toilets. But because of security issues over accessing people's personal information, we've got over that. I think now we've identified a new provider of the service so that we can use contactless cards, not just in our toilets, but also in our car parking machines and then any other facilities that we seek payment from. As I said, there's been this issue around confidentiality of people's information, and so that's what we aim to do is deliver a completely coinless means of access.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Chair. And I'm glad we're making those steps towards that because, in my view, I personally very rarely carry cash. And I think a lot of residents would be in the same boat as me, and a lot of visitors probably would be as well. So I think if we are charging, we're probably missing out on a whole load of usage and revenue there if we're not facilitating that. But I'm grateful that there is some work going. Just moving on to the report. Please, someone pointed out if I've missed it, but I'm struggling to see where the financial shortfall is. We're all talking about budget cuts and the pressures of the service, which I get. But in the report, I'm struggling to see where it says the toilets cost us X, we need it to cost us Y. And without that, I'm struggling to see how we can determine whether the strategy is a success or not. If we're looking to offload facilities, fine, but we need to have a target to say how many facilities, or is this strategy just saying let's offload all of them, and the ones that we can't get someone to take over, we're just going to close? So I'm a little concerned with the strategy, with that lack of a financial and facility target.
The aim of the strategy is to make sure that we can deliver a sustainable toilet provision, whether it be through our means, through the county, or through
Geraint's indicated to just come in at that at the moment. I get what you're saying, Grim. If we can bring Geraint in.
Thank you, Councillor Tom. In terms of the budget, the strategy isn't at a budget level at this point in time. I think the strategy for me, the aim of the strategy is that it gives us, assuming that you're kind enough to recommend adoption of the BC strategy this evening, it gives us then the opportunity to collaborate with stakeholders to allow facilities to remain open where they might otherwise be closed, and that will take into account any change in budget because we know we're in that budget process time of year, and so we'll be able to do that. But I think at this point in time, the strategy is about maintaining facilities, keeping them open where we can through collaboration with any stakeholder that we're able to work with.
Thank you, and yeah, thanks for that answer there, Geraint. I am still just a little. I get that the strategy is about keeping facilities open, but if we don't start off with some sort of matrix or some sort of understanding of which ones we're saying, right, we're definitely keeping these ones open, these ones we need to meet with the stakeholder to try and find a way forward, or these ones there is absolutely no chance that we can financially keep going with that. How do we not start a precedent then, just saying, okay, we're just going to slowly over the coming years just continually offload facilities to stakeholders, which I'm not, entirely opposed to working with stakeholders to keep facilities open. I just think if we're going to start on this path, we need to have a target in place to say we want to get to this level, not just that we're going to continually year on year, and that this facility is going to become a way for the council to meet its financial targets by continually offloading these types of facilities. I'm concerned by the lack of the end target there. Although I get and appreciate what the strategy is trying to do, I'm struggling to see how we can scrutinise that and see that going forward without that real clear, we want to get to point X, not just sort of a never-ending end point. If you see what I mean, I'm scared of mission creep there, basically.
Yeah, I understand your concerns. I think the action plan that's Appendix 2 will hopefully provide you with a bit more comfort that this isn't about offloading toilets to anybody who will take them. This is about being that the infrastructure we have is sustainable, and we all know, don't we, in the current economic climate, things are costing more, notwithstanding what the budget will be. Things are costing more. The infrastructure is aging, which means it will cost more to maintain it. So there is pressure on whatever budget there is. So I think for me, the strategy is not looking at it from the perspective of how many toilets can we close, the strategy is looking at what work do we need to do to identify how we can keep a sustainable stock of public conveniences within the county.
Yes, this is the last time that I'll come back, and I appreciate what you're saying there. I think we're probably viewing the same issue, but maybe looking at it from different ways. So I accept that. So, in a similar vein, what oversight is there going to be for local members or elected members before any of these facilities are offloaded or shared partnerships or given over to other groups? Because I have had a look at the plan that you mentioned in the appendix, and I can't see where that is. So again, in that similar vein, if this strategy does go forward and officers say, here's 10 that we think we can work with, or here's a couple that we just think that we need to offload because of X, Y, what scrutiny is there going to be of that for local members, but also for the council as a whole to say, actually, we don't agree with that. Let's go back to the drawing board and find a way to fund those facilities.
I think at the first step, any changes to any public convenience, local members will be part of that dialogue and discussion at the principal level.
And I would have thought that would be a given. The only time perhaps I wasn't notified of a closure was because of vandalism, and it was closed on health and safety, and then I've been informed of that. But if the strategy, if adopted tonight, going forward, I'd expect consultation with local members, I think, as a given. So just, is that okay, Tom? We're done? Thank you. So I've got Bernice, I've got Paul, I've got Andrew, then I've got Sam. Bernice.
Thank you, Chair. I represent Towyn, and as you are aware, or the officers are aware, there's been major problems in Towyn with the toilets. I was not informed at the time, but put that to one side. We have porta cabins that are frankly absolutely disgusting. There's been poor communication with me. There's been very poor communication with my town council, and the emails have not been responded to from the town council. There are no toilets from Abergele through to Will, which is a 4 or 5 mile strip. No public toilets. Look at the tourism that comes into Towyn and Kimmel Bay. Council buildings. There are no council buildings till you get to Kimmel Bay. Anybody with a child is desperate if they can get one. Because of the problem, I undertook, after having spoken to officers, I got the forms and went to every pub and cafe in Towyn. Some may not have responded, but I know at least 5 offered their facilities. And I took those forms into the council, and as far as I'm aware, no one has been to see them. We have to work together on this, and I need to know when and what is happening with Towyn's toilets. Thank you.
I think for the benefit of this meeting, could I ask officers to contact Councillor Bernice with that issue? Can you do that, Gary?
Absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Bernice, and I do acknowledge what you say. We've had a couple of conversations, I know, in the past about these issues. I'm more than happy to chat with you offline and see what happened to those forms. I haven't seen them as yet, and that doesn't mean to say that they're not in Coed or whatever. I can certainly look into that and give you an update on the condition of these portaloos as well, which I know it's not really, they're not the nicest of things. They are a short-term fit at the moment until we decide what is going to happen with the building. As you know, it's got structural problems. We can't open it in a safe manner as it stands. We've done quite a bit of investigation with engineers to see what we can and can't do. And as a consequence of that, I met with Councillor Nigel some time ago where we talked about another option. And that's the one we've pursued through a business case recently.
So, Councillor Bernice, Gary will get in touch with you.
Sorry.
Yeah, go
Can
ahead.
I
Go on.
come back? It's not just me. It would also be helpful if you communicated with the town clerk, please,
Yeah,
as
sure.
well as myself.
Yeah, will
Thank
do.
you.
You're welcome.
Okay, you're getting that acknowledgement there, Councillor Bernice. Councillor Paul.
Thanks, Chair, and I'm not a member of this committee, so thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I think at the beginning, I need to acknowledge and take responsibility for part of the problem, because like other councillors who voted for cuts and savings in the ARF budget, that has sort of facilitated us to be here today, really, because we've made it more difficult to maintain a public toilet network. And I suspect we'll be asked to make a similar decision this March, February, March, which will make it even more problematic. So, in a friendly way, back to Louise, if Louise, when she was in the cabinet, had overruled Greg Robbins pushing back, we might not be quite where we are here. Because obviously that question is constantly asked now, or I've been involved in lots of discussions exactly like Councillor Louise was historically. My point today really is, I do think with goodwill and monies from community and town councils, we can maintain a public toilet network. And my experience, I'm not disagreeing with Bernice's experience, but my experience with Gary, Geraint and Gromway in terms of Abergele Town Council is we have spent hours and hours on this, site visits, they've come to the town council, we've talked things through to try and find a way where we can maintain our 3 public toilets. And those discussions are ongoing. And I think this strategy, it sort of further enables that for other town and community councils. Now, Gromway makes a good point. The 4 that are taken over are by rural community councils. And I would have been almost arguing we need to be protective of rural community councils because their precept doesn't raise much money. Whereas like Abergele Town Council, we raised our precept by 8.7% last year. We have very significant reserves, much higher reserves than I'd like as a town council. I think they're running at something like 31%. You imagine if we as Conway Council had 31% reserves, we'd be very happy. So I think there is a way, and negotiations need to continue, but I think there is a way with goodwill and explanation of all the issues, we can continue to maintain a public network. And I think some of the points that Tom made are relevant and they can be part of working through this strategy going forward. So I do hope, though I'm not a member of the committee today, that it's fully supported.
Thank you for them comments, Paul. And tongue in cheek, I thought that when I said I don't think this will be too controversial, tongue in cheek is exactly what you're saying there, is what when I went through this report, is what I saw. So thank you very much. So I've got Councillor Andrew online, I've got Councillor Sam online, and Councillor Sean. They're in that order. So if I go to Councillor Andrew Wood.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for giving us position to speak. I'm not a member of this committee. Paul's just sort of gone through exactly what I was going to say. But I will say that Chris Hughes is right. The actual cost, when you actually analyse it to run a set of toilets, is prohibitively too expensive for most town and county councils. So I think we've approached this, and as Paul says, we as a town council, we are working forwards as quick as we can. And I think that basically the strategic report, where, as Paul says, Councillor Paul, that there is a shared responsibility where the onerous things or the insurances and things like that can be shared between town and community council, and the county council will be accepted. I know there's a move to go that way now. I'll thank Chris for bringing the cost of it up, Councillor Hughes. They are very expensive. You factor in refurbishments and vandalism. And Chair, I'd like to say thank you to you. You were right. These toilets, all toilets in Conway, need to be as anti-vandal as possible. Gary knows, and I know that we've looked at in Pensarn, and they're very much the same things that cause it to be closed. The same similar vandalism recurs. So we really need to make them as vandal-proof as possible, so they're open as much as possible. And I'd just like to put on record a great thank you to ERF, but especially Gary for all he's done for Abigail, and I'm sure we'll get there in the end. But definitely cooperation, shared responsibility. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Councillor Andrew. Yeah, I'll go to Councillor Sam online, then got Councillor Sean, and then Councillor Simon who's just come in.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Yeah, Andrew and Chris have made the points. I've got my town council hat on. I think we had started discussions before the pandemic, and obviously that stopped everything. But I know the town council are keen to restart those discussions. And I appreciate what the points that have been made about Dolwydd Ellen and Betws and other rural areas. But town, Llandudno, Colwyn Bay, Abergele, Conway, we have more than one set of public toilets within our community area. So the cost of, I'm sure the cost to a town council of maintaining, 3 public toilets in Conway, one out here, one in Junction, is going to be significant, and that would mean employing somebody else. So I think the partnership, sponsorship aspect of things does need to be a serious route that's explored, and I look forward to Gary coming back to speak to us and our clerk about that. But also the other thing I wanted to raise was we've got toilets that have to be very well used. They must be very well used because they're in high tourist areas, like the toilets at the either end of Llandudno Promenade by the paddling pool. I'm sure there are public toilets in Ross-on-Sea by the paddling pool there. Public toilets on the quay at Conway. And Tom's made the point, we've got no figures in here, that there must be figures of how much these different toilets with their high footfall, if that's the right word, take to be maintained. And I noticed there was something in there about monitoring footfall. I think that's an important point, really, because if we're going to be talking about in the future contactless or generating income from them, we need to have those figures available to see which the toilets that are going to generate the most money and how much more maintenance or cleaning or whatever they are going to need because of the high usage, again, if that's the right term. But yeah, I just wanted to make those points. Thank you.
Okay, I'm getting nods of acknowledgement, Councillor Sam, from the officers. Councillor Sean online.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me speak, because I'm not on the committee either. But I think I just wanted a quick word. Sam has said a lot of what I was going to say, actually. But Conway's my ward, and we've got 3 toilets. One has been closed down a while. One is broken more recently. I've spoke to with Gary, but there's no budget to repair it. And the other one is tied up with the Civic Hall. And if that one goes, we haven't got any. So considering it's a World Heritage Site, and, for the Conway Half Marathon, we had over 3,000 people in Conway, all asking, where can we go to the toilet? And I didn't know what to tell them, to be honest, because there wasn't anywhere. And the library obviously would be, the cafe was shut was open at the library, but they don't sort of encourage you to use the toilets unless you actually use their facilities. So that makes it awkward. So I just wanted to say that. So hopefully something's done as soon as possible and we get on with it, because it's essential for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for them points, and obviously, again, they've been taken on board. I do remember when a couple of 3 years ago or whatever, that when we had sort of major events, it'd be up to the event organisers perhaps to put in additional facilities, and I'm surprised that something that's attracted so many people has not done so.
Comment on that, Chairman.
So I am aware, when at a big event, part of that event organisation will be supplying some toilets, not only in the town at the start, but it'd be possibly along the route at certain times. So I'm a bit surprised about that, Sean. But notes taken on board, and I know Councillor Gronwy wants to come in.
Yeah.
Then I want to hand over. Then I'll bring in Councillor Simon, who's online waiting.
On occasions when there are things like events like the marathon, there was a whole bank of toilets provided by the organisers of the marathon on the quay. There was the whole quay was a row of portaloos were provided by the organisers.
Okay, so for clarity, there were portable toilets for that event. I'm being told. Okay, right. Okay, Councillor Simon online.
Yep, thank you. It's relevant again to our previous discussions about the Cayley Prom. The toilets which were to be provided for the public and all the kids and all the wonderful facilities we've got for them are intended to be in the kiosks. I noted on the drawings there's two toilets on the end of the cafe block, and if we don't get round to actually doing the kiosks soon, we're going to have a lot of people there with kids without any toilets. The nearest toilets are much further down the prom at the kiosk that's past Prince's Court and past Marine Road, and the other ones would be the private ones in the up at Ross-on-Sea itself. And I think that would really spoil the ship for a ha'porth of tar if we don't really get those kiosks progressed. There was a kiosk already at the Marine Road end of the Cayley Prom, and I think there was a kiosk at the other end. So I'm really keen to see that those are replaced ASAP, certainly before the next holiday season. Thank you.
I don't know if anybody wants to respond to that, but as you say, we're talking about the provision that we have here in Conway. Gronwy, last word. I've got no one online who wants to speak now. Gronwy, if you're responding to Councillor Simon.
As I said previously, the kiosks on the prom are part of the scheme. The infrastructure is in place, but once we find a desire for somebody to take on those kiosks, they will be built in accordance with whatever that kiosk operator desires.
Okay, coming in late, Councillor Mandy. I want everyone to have a say. It's very important to me that reports are aired and your views are taken on board. So, Councillor Mandy.
Hi, thanks very much, Chair. Just really want to come in. I think we can all sort of agree how important our public toilets are to all of our communities. We need to be having those conversations and, ensuring that we do everything we can in our power, to keep those facilities available, because it's detrimental to public health of our, residents and visitors alike. I just really want to ask really that there's a word of caution around contactless only payments, because we do have a large amount still of our, older, residents that don't necessarily, have, contactless payments. They still don't like, to have those contactless payments, and it's the older ones that we need to be encouraging to get out, staying active, and in order to do that, they need to have toilet facilities that they can access. It's not only the older people as well. It could be those, escaping domestic abuse where they've got no bank accounts and stuff like that. And also those that can't get bank accounts So really, it's just a word of caution. You know, if you are looking at going to contactless payments only, you know, we need to be very careful. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, points taken on board there, Mandy, thank you. So basically, I've got Councillor Tom in the chamber. If you come back, you've got another question.
Yeah, thanks. No, it was just that I actually wanted to make a proposal for an amendment. I think across the chamber, everyone's expressed how important these facilities are to the local area. So I'd be grateful. My proposal is that we accept the strategy with the amendment that it is reviewed in 6 months, with a addition explaining the finances of the service, i.e. that expected shortfall, and also another amendment to note in the report that all facilities will be consulted with local members before any are closed. I know we've said that is what's going to happen, but it would be reassuring if it was written into the report as well. So that would be my amendments proposal. Thank you.
I think you've stolen a little bit of the Vice Chair's thunder there in timescales and when's it going to come back here, and I'm stealing it off you now, aren't I? So I'll hand over quickly to Councillor Caffi.
Okay, so I was just going to ask when this is all going to come back to us, because quite a few of the actions in the delivery plan are November, December, you know, and through to February, so really imminent. I'm assuming that work is already well in hand with those dates, although we haven't got the progress update column filled in yet. So I would have actually pushed it a bit closer, but I don't know what our forward work program and our agendas look like, but I would be hoping we could have some of that filled in 4 months.
Yes, this is probably not going to cabinet, isn't it? So by the time the decision's going to be implemented, it's going to be December, probably January. So 6 months is probably more realistic than any time sooner, I should think.
Well, I'll defer to Dawn on that in terms of our agendas, etc. But 6 months or sooner, I would like to see this coming back. And also, while I've got the mic, just a plea to echo what Councillor Bernice said about the local business scheme. We do have businesses in Pemamawr who have expressed an interest in that and not had a response. So if we could pick that up, that would be fabulous. Thank you.
I'm going to look to Councillor Gronwy Edwards here. I thought, is this going to cabinet? This strategy is going to cabinet.
It is going to cabinet. And the other thing is that to bring it back before we actually know what the budget provision is for this coming year, you know, the strategy will be built around that, the budget ask, won't it?
Okay, so yeah, so basically, I've got nobody else with hands up, so if I've got this right, recommendations on page 116, including Councillor Thompson and seconded by Councillor Caffi. So 2.1 is that Economy in Place Overview and Scrutiny Committee scrutinises the local toilet strategy, which I think is fair to say that we've done that tonight, and makes recommendations to Cabinet. Then you've got recommendation 2.2, subject to the consideration of overview scrutiny committee's recommendation, Cabinet adopt the local toilet strategy, which has been agreed by Councillor Tom, with the addition of, if Dawn could remind us.
So Councillor Tom's amendment is to accept the strategy and it's reviewed in 6 months to include some financial details and the expected shortfall, and that consultation is undertaken with all local members for their individual facilities.
Okay, so I've had that proposed by Councillor Tom. I have it seconded by Councillor Caffi. Can I put that to the committee? All those in favour? So I think that's unanimous, but I will go through. Anybody opposed, against? Abstentions? That recommendation with the addition is unanimous. We have no further items on the agenda. Can I just say safe journey home, everybody. thank you for your participation, and I think a really useful meeting tonight. So thank you very much, everybody, and good night.